All right, so here we have the step up, and again, like everything else we've talked about here, we could either quad bias this or glute bias this. Today we're looking at the glute specifically, and again, having an exercise that can really train that through the lengthened position. So what we're doing here is we have a little bit of balance. Sometimes we might even have to ditch the balance depending on what level of skill we have here, right, and what level of balance we have here. We might want to add some dumbbells in there to be able to influence tension a little bit more so. But in this particular case, we're going to show you guys with the balance added to it here. And in a lot of cases, we'll also program this, or at least I will, with some sort of, maybe this could be a potential superset. We're using something in the shortened position like a calves glute bridge to really get that emphasis on the feel, right, of the glute, and then we'll come over here and we'll train something that's a little bit less intensive in terms of the amount of load that we're using, but we're still hitting that through the lengthened position. So again, you'll see us program this a little bit more so as a complementary exercise in some cases, and maybe not as a, you know, I don't know, a big exercise, if you would. Like the pivot press, so to speak, right? But with that being said, if we're going through this motion here, all we're doing is stepping up. Now, before we even get into this, the one thing we want to do is make sure that we find a step, right, that is indicative of where we need to be. So for Marina, this is almost perfect, right? But if you're finding yourself on a step and you're coming up too high, and this is throwing your, maybe this side's better, throwing your hips out of alignment to start, then it's already too high, right? We need to find something maybe a little bit lower for that individual. And again, we might be kind of stuck within what the gym has to offer, but the gym might have things like this, right, where we have boxes here, right, that we can influence a little bit more so based on the size of these boxes, based on the size of the individual. Sometimes we'll have these, sometimes we have the risers, like I don't know if you can see that down there, Chris, on the wall, because it's black on black, but there's a little bit of a riser there. That could be an option as well. Today we're going to use the bench because it fits Marina perfectly, and again, if you can see, her glute is fully lengthened in this position here. So what we're going to do is from here, we're going to go ahead and we're going to step up nice and controlled, right? And then we're going to slowly lower it back down. Where a lot of people go with this, you can see this is Marina's first time ever. She's brand new here today. Everybody say hi, Marina. Marina, say hi. I don't know if we've ever programmed. Have we?
Yeah.
So we have programmed these in there, just haven't been in there for a while.
Yeah.
All right. But what we really want to do is make sure that we are stepping up, pushing through that platform, boom, without too much of that forward knee drive, right? And then we're going to slowly lower it down and control as much as we can through that eccentric. Perfect. All right, I guess we're not going to get a couple more. I was going to wait for a couple more, but I guess we're not going to get there.
I can. Watch.
But here, and then at the top, I would say pause for a second, squeeze that glute. But again, don't fly up like that. That's the number one thing that we're going to see people going wrong with. They're going to come down, they're going to essentially bounce off that back foot, and they're going to get into too much of a rhythm. So give me a couple quick reps where you're bouncing off that back foot, drive up. Now she's pushing off that back foot, and what's essentially going to happen there, keep going, give me a couple more of those reps. What's essentially going to happen there is you're not really going to build up too much fatigue anywhere. It's not going to be the glute. It's not going to be, you might feel a little bit more in the quad than anywhere else, but it's just not going to be terribly difficult versus if we slow down, we have our torso, come back down for a second, we have our torso come forward just a little bit, right? Just like we're doing in the lunge, so the back stays straight, but the hinge at the hip just a little bit. Yeah, boom, there, now the glute's going to be fully lengthened, and we can drive up through that, slowly lower it down, reset yourself. Yeah, now we're hinged at the torso, come up again. And that's going to be those slow, controlled reps is going to be what gets us there. Again, you're going to feel this one in the quads. You can't take that out. Don't get caught up in that. Just make sure you're putting your glute in a position where we're training through the lengthened position.